It's 2021, baby! We're finally done with 2020. And now I'm going to keep my New Year's resolution that I made last year. Last year I said I was going to agree with everyone. Opinions great and small. Have no unpopular opinions. So that way no one could hate me and everyone will love me and the world will be a safer place. And now I'm going to stick to that this time. And you know, I'm going to take it a step further. I am going to mainly target the general audiences. You know, the people that don't play video games and don't understand them. I'm sure they know exactly what they're talking about. If you don't spend hours and hours playing a first-person shooter, then you are not a true gamer. If you play anything else but Call of Duty, you're not a true gamer. But I'm not really into those type of games. And really, isn't a true gamer someone who respects every genre of game, even if they don't like it? Nope, you're not a true gamer unless you play Call of Duty. If you're a guy and simp for women in video games, then you're weird. But if you're a girl and simp for men, then you're perfectly fine, because we men should be dreamy. But aren't all fictional characters made to entertain both genders, whether that's being visually pretty or being a badass? No, if you're a man and you simp, you're weird. Video games cause violence. Do you have any studies, proofs, experiments that back all this up? No. People play shooting games, they shoot. There's no other evidence is needed. Hey, Nitpicker, what do you think about Sonic R soundtrack? Sonic R soundtrack is unironically a bop, and you all know. Ah, fuck. Oh, goodness, thank you so much for that. I am disappointment after all. Hello, everybody. Nitpicker01 here, disagreeing with opinions great and small for your entertainment. And today, last year, I did an unpopular Sonic Opinions video, and y'all seem to really like that one. You probably didn't agree with a lot of opinions on it, but, you know, I thought I'd do another one this year, since y'all seem to really like the last one, so. But, since I'm getting the Sonic series started back up soon, I thought I'd do a more general gaming video this time around. This general unpopular gaming opinions video. But that doesn't mean I don't have a few Sonic opinions for this video. I have a couple actually. But first off, let's start with how Rider Zero Gravity is better than the first Riders by a landslide. People love to bow down and worship the first Riders game like it's their pagan religion, but quite honestly, I disagree. The first Riders game is so hard to learn and so hard to master. It keeps throwing things at you left and right and not teaching you these things. And sure, there's a tutorial section, I know, in a video, but I know. But honestly, it doesn't help with me. Zero Gravity, on the other hand, is miles better. It trims out all the stupid shit and is way easier to pick up and play. And yes, there are some additions that could have used more explaining with the gear system and some power-up. Okay, look, a Rhine Grail. Can I get on that? Nope. Okay. Oh, is that a spring? Let me bounce that. Nope. But at least I can look up all that and figure that out fairly easily. And then I can start learning what other characters do. Again, I do think it should have been more clear about what classes do what. I'll give the first Riders game for being shit and vague. I will give this game for being shit and vague. And at least some gears actually show you a picture of what it's meant to do. And there are plenty of road signs to help you out. In the first Riders game, you gotta learn the trick system, be ready for certain button prompts and analog stick spinning that you weren't expecting. Just a lot of weird and confusing stuff was cut from the first Riders, and I think that's way better. And then there's also the story between the two games, which actually is a bit hard to say which one is better. On one hand, Zero Gravity is the better storyline with more interesting things going on, but it doesn't really correlate with the gameplay. The first Riders game, while not the better story, does correlate better with the gameplay. You're in a Grand Prix. Beat your opponents in a race? Alright, I got that. That makes sense. So in terms of writing, Zero Gravity is better, but doesn't correlate with the gameplay. Riders has the worst writing, but does correlate with the gameplay, so I guess it just depends what you want. And while on the subject of writing, I love Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog. But why does nobody ever give credit to Ratchet & Clank at all? Video game movies have always had a rocky history of them being bad, but in my opinion, 3 movies helped change that. Detective Pikachu, Sonic the Hedgehog, but before them all, Ratchet & Clank, the movie. Now don't misunderstand me, I adore both Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think they are better films than Ratchet & Clank, but is Ratchet & Clank really all that bad? Sure, the jokes and writing can be stupid at times, but are you going to sit there and tell me that the original game's jokes and writing aren't stupid at times? In my opinion, in terms of presentation, Ratchet & Clank is the most accurate video game movie we have. When I think of a Ratchet & Clank movie, this is exactly what I think of. When I think of a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, this isn't what I think of. Again, not dogging on Sonic, because the movie is great, but when you think of a Sonic movie, you don't think of live action, Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey. Although that last one, I'm pretty okay with.
Time for talking is over! It's time to push buttons.
In all seriousness, while yes, Sonic the Hedgehog did make its presentation work, it's not what you think of when you think of Sonic the Hedgehog the movie. You think of this one. I'm kidding, of course. The Ratchet & Clank movie has animations similar to the games, just higher budget for a movie, obviously. They have the original actors for about 90% of the characters. The narrative feels like a one-note plot from all the games, one note because it doesn't have any side quests or extra mission setups. The characters feel like how they should. Well, okay, maybe. What? Well, most of the characters do, like Clank, Nefarious, Captain Quark, and many others. But there were two things about this movie that people were pissed about, and justifiably so. Ratchet & Clank is known for its dirty humor and dick jokes, and not a lot of that is present in the movie, which does make a bit of sense, but is still a dick move. Get it? Get it? I say makes sense because this is aimed at a smaller audience, but I do agree. Yeah, I think having slim to none dick jokes on a Ratchet & Clank movie is a very dumb. But the biggest reason people got pissed about is Ratchet isn't exactly how he was in the original game, and many people didn't really like his direction, and I can see why. But I don't know, I don't feel as though it's not too different to where it feels offensive to the character or anything, but I do see why people would be upset about it. So while the film isn't perfect in the slightest, and quite honestly pretty mediocre when looking at it in the grand scheme of things, is it really that bad? Is it really worth being considered one of the worst video game movies ever made? No, I don't think so. There is definitely a lot of things wrong about this movie, but I think it does have some positives that shouldn't be swept under the rug. And I do consider it among the trilogy of films that prove video game movies can work. But of course, Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog are better movies in comparison. Oh god, man, that was long. But you know what is long, and long enough? Final Fantasy VII Remake. And if y'all thought that was going to be a penis joke, I'm not happy with my penis size. This one will be a bit brief, but I played Final Fantasy VII Remake when it came out, and boy do I love it. But I do know that the game did get cut into an episodic release, and people bitched. Why? Now in hindsight, sure, I can understand cutting a full game into an episodic release sounds bad, but if you have to remember, this is Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII Remake takes place during the Midgar section, and by God, does this game look beautiful! But that's all it has, and honestly, I find that perfectly fine. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a very long game, so much so that the PS1 original came on 3 whole CDs. So splitting up the work causes the devs to focus on things that they wouldn't have if they know they have an entire other game to work on. And honestly, the Midgar section alone is just worth $60. If you told me this was just part of the original game after I finished it, I would be dumbfounded because this remake is long, but I think the perfect kind of long. Long enough for it to be considered an episodic release? Oh, hell yeah. Would I prefer to it all be on one disc? Sure, but I also know that if it wasn't, then Midgar wouldn't look as good as it does. Sure, it would have still been good, but come on, it wouldn't have been as good as it was. I don't like Persona 5's menus. Oh my god. Hear about what Nintendo said about Persona 5's menu? First of all, I want to say that Persona 5 is a great game, and I really like it. I like its story, I like the setting, but one of the crowning achievements of the game is its style. Red, black, and white backgrounds during victory screens and menus is a really cool aesthetic. However, do I hate this menu? There's something to be said about keeping up with a game's style down to the pause menu, but this is too much. Now, when looking at it in hindsight, yeah, it looks pretty cool. But actually using it? Oh, God, no. It feels so cluttered. When I first saw this menu, I was like, oh god, what am I looking at? You get used to it, but I don't really like it. Why, when I am trying to select a costume, do I have to select it, X in the menu, and see how it looks? Why can't I see it right there in the menu so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth between the menu and game to see if I like it? I know this one is a definitely just me thing, but I don't know. I find this menu very distracting and really awkward to read and navigate. You know what's also hard for me to navigate? Why are people so triggered about emulation being in 3D AllStars? Alright, believe me here, Super Mario 3D AllStars was a bit of a letdown and honestly overpriced for how much little content is in this package. You can get mad about a lot of things, but one thing I really don't see the point in getting mad about is the games being emulated. I don't I don't really get the point in getting mad about that. Now believe me, I get it. There's a lot of hypocrisy with Nintendo in this collection because of how they feel about emulation, yet they sell 3 emulated games for $20. That's completely fine to whine about. But when the game was announced and we found out that it was all emulation, people got triggered. And my question is, why? As long as the games run well, who cares if it's emulated or not? One argument I saw someone say was that if the games are emulated, then they couldn't really be improved all that much. Oh really? No improvements? No improvements at all? Not one? Not a bit? Now believe me, I get it. I would rather want Nintendo to put in the effort to port all the games and not just use software to emulate them, but at the end of the day, if the games run well, the games run well, and that's good enough for me. You know what's also good enough for me, and for my last opinion of this video? Team Sonic Racing, and the other 2 racing games, and how they're better than Mario Kart. Oh, whoa, look, it's Sonic.
I was originally coming here to parachute because of what you said last year about my best Sonic game of all time, Sonic C. But since you're here talking about something of mine is better than that Italian fat-ass Mario, I will postpone your parachute and continue with what you were saying.
Well, alright, sure, I guess. Look here, I love Mario Kart 8 as much as the next guy, but honestly, these 3 games are much better in my opinion. Now, why do I say that when they're almost the exact same? 2 things, my loyal chaps. First of all 3 of these games have one thing that Mario Kart doesn't have, a better drift mechanic. Now see, if Mario Kart, if you keep a drift going for long, you can get a huge boost. But you have to keep that drift going in one shot. You cannot stop drifting. However, all the Sonic Racing games have the same mechanic, but smashes Mario into the pavement, because in all 3 games, you can actually stop and start your drift again. So if you need to go in another direction, you don't have to stop your drift. If you're good enough, you can keep your drift going all the way until it reaches purple every single time, which adds a lot of strategy into the mix of playing the game, which is way better than plain old Mariokart over there. Another way the Sonic Racing games have way more strategy, well, I guess only Team Sonic Racing, which is my personal favorite out of the 3, because it adds 3 layers of strategy to the mix. First, I love the class types, speed, technique, and power, which all have different things they can do, unlike Mario Kart, which is the only reason you would want to pick a character in Mario Kart is because you like Donkey Kong, and that's it. Now, I'm not going to say that Team Sonic Racing is, so complex, because it's not. Really, you can pick whatever character you want, and you'll be just fine, but it's nice to know that when you pick someone, you'll have something another character won't have. And that, to me, matters. Second layer of strategy, the ring mechanic. Kinda. The more rings you have, the faster you go. And I feel like that's a perfect mechanic, especially for a Sonic Racing game. It makes perfect sense to have, though honestly, I can't tell that much of a difference, but it's there. And the third layer of strategy, the team mechanic. After all, that's what the game is named after. And honestly, I feel this is a great addition and a great way to set itself apart from Mario Kart. And it's just a Sonic thing to do. Unlike Crash Tag Team Racing, it's actually good.
Alright kid, you have won me over. I guess I don't really have a reason to parachute your pretty old—
Though I will say, I think Mario Kart 8 has better graphics out of the 3.
What? You dare say my graphics aren't as good Mario's? You have to run this game on the Sega Pico to get it to run properly. That's it, I've had enough of you. You will perish on this day. Your screams will be heard as blood splatters out of your fucking mouth, of which you have your shitty opinions. You shall admit that no longer. I shall have my revenge.
Oh hey, look, there's Sega.
What?
Oh, there you are, Sonic. We need to finish the new Sonic game coming out this year.
No, Sega, please don't turn me into the new Sonic game coming out this year.